Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Empty Cloud Monastery. So today we again have with us Bhante Sumita, and my name is Bhante Sudaso. And today we'll be talking a bit about Vesak, since it's Vesak month. It's a good opportunity to talk about the significance of this particular holiday. So we can start by paying homage to the Buddha, and then we'll say a few words about what Vesak is and why it's important. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, as mentioned, we'll be talking a bit about Vesak. So, the Vesak is traditionally the day when we celebrate the birth of the Buddha, the day the Buddha attained awakening, and also the day that the Buddha passed into parinibbana. So maybe Bhante Sumita, would you like to start by saying a few words about Vesak?
Vesak is the most important day in the Buddhist calendar because it marks the most important days of the Buddha's life, his birth, his enlightenment, and the passing away took place on this very same full moon day. Vesak is a Sinhala word, and Vesakha is the Pali word, and Vaishakha is the Sanskrit word. And in many Indian languages, we also have Vaishak, Vesak, Vaishak, and in so many ways, somehow it is all celebrated with the same fashion in the Buddhist world. So it is also, uh, uh, I think, declared holiday by even the UNO. So it's very important for all the Buddhist people. And it marks significant in many different ways. For example, Prince Siddhartha, when he was born under a tree, very important to remember that he was born under a tree in the nature, in the Lumbini Sala Grove. And it is said when he was born, he started walking 7 steps, and the Mother Earth accepted, welcome this wonderful Bodhisattva with lotus flowers. So he walked 7 steps, and at the end of it, he said, Aggo hamasmi lokasa, jetho hamasmi lokasa, setho hamasmi lokasa, ayamangtima jati nathidani punabhava. Aggo hamasmi lokasa, I am the chief in the world. And Jeto hamasmi lokasa and Seto hamasmi lokasa, I am supreme and there is no equal to me. And ayam antima jati nathidani punabhavo, this is my last birth, no more rebirth for me. So that means when the Bodhisattva is born, he already knows that this is his last birth. And that was again a full moon day, a Vesak full moon day in the month of May. And then again, when he attained the enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Buddha Gaya, he uttered an utterance. So that the first utterance was this Aggo Hamasmi. The second utterance is immediately after the fulfillment of his eons of paramita. He said, Aneka jati sangsarang, sandha visang anibvisang, Gahakarakang gave santo dukkha jati punat punang. Gahakaraka dithosi punagehang nakahasi sabbate phasuka bhagga gahakutang visankhara gatang chittang tanhanang khayamajjaga. The Buddha said, I have been searching for the creator of this world, creator of my own world. I have been searching him for a long, long, long time. And this guy has been playing hide and seek game with me. I couldn't find him. He was always hiding. I couldn't find him. So finally I found this is the tanha, the craving, the attachment, the grasping, and this is why all of us are creating our own world. So finally, I found him, and then I have shattered the very foundation, completely demolished the very foundation of this building. So now the Tanha cannot create any more world for me. I have shattered the rafters and everything of the building. So no more building for me, no more birth for me, no more rebirth for me. And this is the second utterance of the Buddha. Again under the Bodhi tree, again in the nature, again under a tree. And then finally another full moon day, Vesak full moon day, that was 45 years after Buddhahood, working diligently day and night for the benefit of the many, sleeping only 2 hours a day, the Buddha passed away. He decided to pass away, and under again Sala tree in Kusinara. So in that part of India, we can still see those Sala trees, and they are also very special. So under these Sala trees, the Buddha passed away. Immediately before his passing away, he uttered the third utterance, and he said, Andadani bhikkhave amantayami vo vayadhamma sankhara appamadena sampadetha. Monks, I am addressing you for the last time, and work diligently. Don't be late. This is a very important opportunity that you have as human beings. This is a great opportunity that you have the Dhamma with you. So keep practicing, work hard, work diligently, and achieve your final goal, supreme bliss of Nibbana. That was the final words of the Buddha. So now we are all celebrating the Buddha's birthday and enlightenment and the passing away. And then we also need to remember why we should do that, why we do that. Not like all those celebrations, if we don't take the real true meaning of it, it wouldn't make much of a sense. Now we have the Dhamma with us, we have to practice, and we have this Dhamma, and remember sometimes we will never ever have some Dhamma. In some kappa, some eons it is said, we don't even hear the word Dhamma. So let alone practicing, let alone having so many wonderful Kalyana Mitra friends around us. So it will be hard for us to practice without having that resources. Today we have the Dhamma right here with us. So we should continue to diligently practice appamadena sampadeta. Don't be late, work hard, achieve the goal. So we should have some goal in us at least to achieve Sotapanna during this life.
Yeah, so the Vesak then, again, is the most important holiday in the Buddhist calendar because without Vesak, there wouldn't be any Buddhism in the first place. There wouldn't be the rest of what we do. So Vesak is a time to bring up a sense of deep appreciation for the Buddha. and also a time to recognize that we have the exact same potential within ourselves. So this is one of the most important things to remember. So when recollecting the Buddha, it's important to remember that the Buddha is not essentially different from us. So the Buddha originally was exactly the same as we are. There wasn't something unique and special which made it possible for him to attain awakening. But rather, he used to be a completely ordinary sentient being, just like everybody else. And it was through his own diligent ongoing practice that he was able to attain the highest perfection of wisdom and compassion. And this is a very important point, because if we think of the Buddha as a unique, special being who's distinctly different from ordinary beings, then it's easy to miss the fact that all of us can become exactly like him. It's easy to miss the fact that we can be exactly like the Buddha. So it's a process, it's a training process. It takes time, it takes effort. It doesn't happen automatically, and it doesn't happen easily. But every single one of us can cultivate exactly the same qualities that the Buddha cultivated, and we can become exactly the same as the Buddha. So in recollecting the Buddha, so again, recollecting his birth, so this is significant. So the Buddha was born as a human being, and he was born not as an awakened being. So he was born as an ordinary unawakened being. Somebody who had many lifetimes of spiritual development already cultivated. But still, he was born as an ordinary unawakened being. And then through diligent practice, he was eventually able to attain awakening. And so this is actually one of the really important elements of the Buddha's story. So of course we talk about the various miraculous signs which indicated that this was a high-ranking bodhisattva who was bound to attain Buddhahood in this life. There were these indications. But nonetheless, he was born as an ordinary sentient being, just like the rest of us. So this is, again, it's recollecting that every single one of us has the capacity for self-perfection. We have the ability if we make the effort. So basically, the only way to fail at Buddhism is to not try. That's the only way. The Buddha's own practice, if you read through the many lifetimes of the Buddha, and even through what he said about his final lifetime before he attained awakening, what you actually find is this long, long string of mistakes of the Buddha while he was still an unawakened bodhisattva. We have the Buddha to be trying to cultivate the qualities that would eventually allow him to attain awakening. And in the process, sometimes he did wholesome things and sometimes he did unwholesome things. Sometimes he made good choices and sometimes he made bad choices. Sometimes he made wise decisions and sometimes he made foolish decisions. And this is very important to remember, because when we look at our own life, that's what we see. When we look at our own choices, we see some choices that are good and some that are bad. We see some decisions that are wise and some that are foolish. We see that sometimes we act in line with Dhamma and sometimes we don't. So this is exactly the same thing that we see when we look at the past stories of the Buddha. So before the Buddha attained awakening, he was just like us. So then also, again, recollecting the Buddha's awakening, this is a reminder to us of our own future awakening. It's a reminder to ourselves that Buddhahood is something which we can attain. We also can attain full awakening. And the significance of the Buddha's passing away is also the indication that there is an end to suffering. There is an end to dukkha. Sometimes in the course of our lives, we become so used to dukkha that we think that this is just the way things are. the way things always have been and always will be. It's kind of like if you have a rock in your shoe and you just keep walking around and eventually you actually forget that it's even possible to take the rock out of your shoe. You just get so used to that constant pain in your foot every time you step. But it actually is possible. It is possible to take the pebble out of your shoe and walk comfortably. But we need to remember that fact. So similarly, we can get so used to this constant feeling of discomfort and dissatisfaction and discontent, this constant irritation in the mind, that we forget that it's possible. That it's possible to be free of suffering. It's possible to be free of dukkha. So recollecting the Buddha's parinibbana is a reminder that it actually is possible to completely end every aspect of dukkha. It is possible to be completely free of the entire domain of samsara. It is possible to be not limited in any way by any sankhara, by any conditional formation whatsoever. And it's also important then to look at our own life, to look at our own practice, and to see for ourselves that when we do follow the Buddha's instructions, when we do follow the Eightfold Path, then we can experience a little bit of the cessation of suffering. You can get a little bit of dukkha nirodha. So actually, every time you apply the Noble Eightfold Path to your life, then your dukkha will diminish a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit. So paying attention to that then also reminds us, it's like, oh, if you chip off a little bit of your dukkha and you just keep going and going and going and going and going, then eventually you'll get rid of all of it. Like one of the similes that the Buddha uses, and he's using this simile for a different purpose, but it's a good simile. He says if there's a tall mountain, so a tall stone mountain, and once every 100 years an angel comes and wipes the top of the mountain with a cloth, then eventually that entire mountain would be completely eroded. It would be completely wiped away, all the way down to being level with the ground. And the Buddha is using this to demonstrate how long an eon is. But it's also a good way of reflecting upon our own practice. Because on a moment-to-moment basis, it can seem like we keep practicing and practicing and practicing. We keep developing the Eightfold Path, and yet nonetheless, our mind is still flooded with dukkha. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is. There's an immense mountain of dukkha in your mind. That's true. And yeah, our practice is like wiping the top of that mountain with a soft cloth. Yeah, it's pretty slow. And yet, with persistence, eventually you can erode the entire mountain. And so recollecting the Buddha's birth, awakening, and parinibbana is a reminder, because the Buddha went through exactly that same process. Countless lifetimes of slowly eroding the mass of dukkha, slowly cultivating the spiritual strength to wipe away that mass of suffering. But it wasn't something that happened instantly. It was something which took many, many eons. It took countless lifetimes to erode that mass of dukkha. But it did eventually come to completion. So it's the same with our own practice. We don't need to worry about how much is left to do. We just need to keep working away, keep developing these supportive qualities of mind, these wholesome spiritual qualities, which lead to eventually attaining awakening. Vesak is a reminder of our own potential. So it's not just a memory of some special person who lived and died a long time ago. And that's a part of it, of course. Part of it is recollecting Siddhartha Gautama, the very wonderful being who lived on this world not so long ago. That's part of it. But a very important part of Vesak is to remind ourselves that we have exactly the same potential, exactly the same capability. So those are a few thoughts for me on the subject of Vesak. Do you have anything else you want to say on the subject?
Uh, I remember when I visited Lumbini and Buddha and also Kusinara and all the other Buddhist places in India. I felt that amazing presence of the Buddha. Those beautiful lands, those holy lands, were graced by the Buddha's feet. So it's amazing to feel. And in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Buddha also mentioned that we need to go see those places, especially those four places where he was born and attained enlightenment, and also the place where he preached the first sermon, that is Saranath Varanasi Nigadaya, and also the place where he attained Parinibbana the last time in Kusinara. In Lumbini, there is an inscription written in Brahmi script. It is said, "Hida Buddha Jate Sakya Muni." So that's a very important, actually, revelation. 200 years after the Buddha's passing away, King Ashoka did this Ashokan inscriptions everywhere and rock pillars. Those are very important evidences. Hither Buddha Jate Sakya Muni means here the Buddha Shakyamuni was born. So even the UNO declared that it is the place where Buddha historically born. And so Buddha was a historical man, a human being, which is very important to all of us. And how Buddha became such an extraordinary human being. And also he was able to preach the Dhamma to rescue many of us from the samsara. And these are also very valid information that we all humans have to treasure our humanity, which is very important. Only a human being can attain the Samma Sambuddha, not a Deva, not a Brahma. Only human beings. So humanity is very important. Human world, human realm is so important, so precious. Only a human being can become a Pacheka Buddha, not a Brahma, not a Deva. So, and also all human beings have the potential to become a Buddha, have the potential to become a Pacheka Buddha or an Arahanta. So all of us, we have that Buddha nature within us. If we choose to become a Buddha, we can go ahead and do that. So that again is a very important reminder that we are all, in a way, uh, we have that potential, that Buddha nature within us. We all can become, attain that achievement, just like the Buddha. And when we celebrate the Vesak, I think we need to think of these things, and we need to inculcate those powerful Buddha qualities and think what we want to do in our life. Rather, apart from our education, career goals, and all the other things, we also need to have some spiritual goal within us. Otherwise, this life will be just, 100 or less than that, and we won't be able to achieve much if we don't have good something. Like in Chatur Maharajika world, one day there is 50 human years. So in fact, we are living just less than 2 days in Chatur Maharajical world, and most of us, I think, have already finished the first day. So we have only one more day left. Remember, in that one day also, only half day will be okay, and the other half day we will be like a vegetable. So we won't be able to do much. Remember, all our quarrels, all our fightings, all our ego, everything, all these mundane achievements will come to nothing. When we are supposed to go, we have to leave everything behind. Only thing we will carry is all those sankharas, all those karma, good and bad karma. That will be the only thing that we can carry with us. And so make a goal, try to at least achieve something close to the Sotapanna. That will be the only way where we can go attain the Nibbana. I think we all have to think of it very seriously. When we think of this, actually, I have noticed um, but this is also in Sri Lanka, for example, when somebody passes away, we always say Niwang Suva Labeva. That means may he attain Nibbana. So everyone tries to think that Nibbana is just something like after the death, you know. And Nibbana is something that we attain within when we are alive. That is very important also in Buddhism. We don't attain Nibbana after death, right? It's not post mortem something. It is within this life we have to attain. So we all have to think, we have the potential, we have to try. And some even think, oh, that is so far away from me. It's not my cup of tea. So I have to wait. I have to wait. So for how long are you going to wait? We have been waiting and waiting and waiting in the samsara for so long, still trying to wait. And this is where we have to again wake up from this slumber, and we have to do something to awaken ourselves, enlighten ourselves, and open our eyes. And that is the only way to grasp the teaching of the Buddha. Somewhere, if you want to follow the Buddha's teaching, we need to think of that paticca samuppada. Evametassa kevalassa dukkakandassa samudayo hoti. This is how this whole mass of suffering appears. With the avijja it starts, ignorance, and it goes on accumulating so many other upadhanas, tanha, all these things happening, and we create karma, and then we are born again and again and again and never stopping. So, and we have to somewhere think, evametas kevalasa dukkha kandasa nirodho hoti. This is how this whole mass of suffering has to be ended. So, thinking that we think of this, take this spirit of the Vesak in a more positive way, more meaningful way, so that our sansaric life can be more fruitful.
Great, thank you, Bante. That was beautiful. So I think we've said enough on the topic of Vesak for this morning. And if you're near Empty Cloud Monastery, you're welcome to come and join us. We'll be having our own Vesak celebration day this Sunday, so May 8th. And if you're in the area, you're welcome to come and drop by and participate. Otherwise, there's, of course, many Buddhist temples around the world who will all be doing programs for Vesak, so you can join in with whatever's going on. So again, always reminding yourself of these three very important events in the Buddha's life, and also reminding yourself of these two aspects of the Buddha, so the mundane and the transcendent. If we emphasize only the mundane, if we just think of the Buddha only as a human being, then we actually forget what an incredible achievement it is to attain awakening. We forget that awakening means that one has transcended the world entirely. One is no longer obstructed or limited by any worldly thing. But if we emphasize only the transcendent, if we just think of the Buddha as some divine being, completely different from ourselves, then we miss out on the humanity of the Buddha, as Bhante Sumita was saying. And we miss out on the intimate connection that we have. One reflection that I always find really helpful is remembering that at some point, the Buddha was exactly like me. At some point in all his many lives before becoming awakened, at some point he was exactly the same as I am right now. Which means that if he got from here to awakening, so can I. If he went from a mundane being just like me to becoming completely transcendent, then I can do the same. So always keeping these two qualities of the Buddha in mind, the mundane and the transcendent, and not missing out on either one. So again, I think we'll go ahead and end at this point. And if you have any questions on the topic of Vesak, you're welcome to go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we'll have our monk chat this evening where you can ask all the random questions that you might have. Having a look here. So hello to everyone who's joining in. So hello to Kita, Melissa, Michael, John, Sud, Yankee, Sarah, Matthias, Patricia, Janga, Jayanta, Cam, Punam, Victor, Vani, Richard, Nawang, B. Chakma, Fingerprint, Lim, and Deborah. Welcome to all of you. And I don't see any questions. So maybe that's enough for this morning. So we can go ahead and end with 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we'll see you this evening for monk chat and possibly on Sunday for our Vesak celebration.